What is up, family? We're back with the Grizz 901, not post-game show, halftime show, because it's a preseason game. And we're not going to do full post-game shows for preseason games. But I am your temporary host, Nathan Qualls, going to be joined by temporary co-host Ryan, draft expert Meadows. Although some like to say he's just a conspiracy theorist and not an expert at all. But we're going to be joining you for the halftime tonight. We're going to try and keep it pretty short and sweet. We won't want to be here all the way to the fourth quarter. I don't think anybody wants that for a preseason show. But this is the most I've been able to watch of an actual game so far. Actually has some things I like, which is not what I typically expect in preseason. Guys have knocked some rust off. But we're going to get to what we like, what we don't like, what we want to see. Try and get you back, try in the middle of the third quarter. But without further ado, I'm going to bring up the guy with some music, maybe. Do I have music? Yes, I do. Let's go. I've never done that before. Never done that before. Ryan, welcome to the show, man. I'm glad. It's going to be a mess tonight because not only is it a preseason show, it's a halftime show, and I haven't done this in a long time. So we're going to have some fun tonight, see how it goes. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. Enjoying the first half. Yeah, so we can't take too long because it feels like the first time the Grizzlies have looked good all preseason.
I know. It's like I actually kind of want to watch what's going on in the second half. Full disclosure, this is far and away the most I've seen of any game so far in the preseason. I have not watched much at all of the first game where I did a halftime show for it. So I was busy trying to figure out where I could do the show since I have a child now that took my podcast room. And I didn't watch any of the last show because I was busy with other football. So to be honest there. But have you been able to watch much of the preseason so far?
I've watched a decent amount. I mean, the preseason is the preseason. They can get really ugly after halftime. So I shouldn't say I've watched every game, all 48 minutes. I've watched pretty much every half and then like little spurts of a couple games. But yeah, because all you really need to do to watch is a half in preseason basketball.
Yeah. Listen, I honestly think you should take it all super seriously. It all matters a ton for what's going to happen in the season, and I'm taking real rotational and coaching decisions away from what's happening here. No, listen, I don't take preseason crazy seriously, but as you get a little bit closer to the season, guys are knocking rust off. You're seeing guys start to really get ramped up for the get-go of the season. I do think it's good to start paying attention to something. So, as far as the show tonight, for everyone here, thanks for joining in. We've already got a decent amount of people in here checking it out. I see Daniel is already in here, even though he's not on the show. He just can't help himself, wondering how many doors Ryan can have in his single shot, which I got to be honest, I do need to talk to your home builder because I'm not sure how I feel about that current layout.
Well, if people don't remember, we moved recently. So we're kind of in an apartment in between while we house shop. So this is a typical apartment layout. So yeah,
I thought that was a new
right
house.
Now.
That's like, no. And a big selling point was number of doors available within the home.
How much spacing can I get within however many square feet?
Yeah, exactly. And listen, you are clearly winning the battle as far as that would go. But no, thanks everybody for joining in. I know it's halftime. It's not the latest game in the world. I honestly thought it was going to be 2 hours later than it actually is, so I barely made the show at all. But enjoy everybody hopping in. Once we get to the actual season and we're doing post-game shows, the chat is what makes the show go. And everybody in here knows that. It is what makes it fun. It's why we keep doing it night in and night out. So appreciate all y'all joining in. Excited for that to get going. If you want to get in the chat tonight, go on in. We're here always and every time for our family there. But let's go ahead and hop in because I know halftime doesn't take very long and we don't want to be here too much in the halftime. So, Ryan, we don't take away much from the first preseason games. I know it's just guys knocking rust off. We have no idea what to expect. They had no idea what to expect half the time. But let's go into some positives, negatives, and what we want to see. And let's start off with the positives because I think we can end it on a positive note with what we want to see. So let me see some of the positives. What have you seen that you think will translate and you like seeing it from the guys so far?
Well, I think the first and most obvious one is that Bane looks like he's been playing 30 games of the regular season so far, right? Like not all of his shots are finishing, and that's okay, but his fitness level and he just looks ready to go. Like it is probably the most exciting thing that's happened out of preseason so far is seeing like he looks like he has an ultimate goal. He's finally going to make that all-star team. Like he looks like he has that kind of goal. So that would kind of be my first positive. I don't know if it's a positive, but I'm intrigued by the new look and the playing style that they have. Curious to see how it plays out in the regular season. You know, like preseason is kind of a time for tinkering. I think that's why you saw the starting lineup you saw tonight, where it was BC instead of Edie. Like this is a kind of time to tinker. Like Jalen Wells has been playing well, but LaRavia gets to start. Don't read too much into that stuff, right? And I know that's hard for us as fans not to, but this is a new offense that takes time and coaches will tinker with it. And so it may look good this game. They might try another player or two in the next game. So I've been interested to see what it looks like. I don't think we've seen it full force. Obviously, we've had a lot of turnovers, but it's been cool to see something a little bit fresh, even though other teams have done this in the past, right? Like this is not a new offense. It's been around since basketball was invented, basically. It's a fresh look for us personally.
Right. And I'm going to be interested to see that. I'm going to save the overall movement for later because that is one of my positives. I do like seeing all the movement. It's clearly leading to more open shots, more easy buckets. I have some things I want to see with it play out as the season gets started. We'll talk about that a little bit later. 100% see what you're saying with Bane. 100% see it with what a lot of the conversation has been, honestly, as far as Grizz Twitter goes, right? The LaRavia, Jalen Wells. I think I have two main positives. Jalen Wells is not the main positive, but obviously I love the confidence you see in him playing right now with these guys. And I don't think that was nowhere near there in Summer League. I mean, no. Cam Spencer, when in Summer League, looked like the superior guy coming straight out of college. Looked like he thought he belonged. Kind of makes sense when you think about a guy who just came off a national title. They were the best in the league he was just in, or the level he was just in. He would think he's the best coming into this level. That translates. was worried about Jalen Wells because obviously the talent was there, but will it translate to where he feels confident enough coming to play? So far in preseason, yes. And he looks like he looks like the kind of guy you would see the Grizz giving that guaranteed contract to so early. Right. Yeah. So encouraged seeing that. But not my main positive. My main positive has been Zach Edey's movement, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Which he's not going to be fast, right? Like he is not going to be the fleetest of foot. That being said, defensively, his feet are always moving and he has footwork, which is, you just worry, right? Is he going to be sitting there and starting to get stuck in the mud, get frozen in between guys? And so far watching Edey, even when he's gotten beat, Evan Turner knocked a really nice shot down on him earlier. But the movement was there and he made the right play and he made it hard, and he's making it hard on these guards. He's just making the right play. Me and Daniel talked about last time, he's got to get rid of bringing the hands down. Going to have to get out of that, some of the Jaren-esque type stuff, right, that you've seen before. Generally speaking, though, I think his movement is keeping up. Now, I know you're not the biggest Edey lover in the world. So, but I am curious to see if you sort of see the same thing or if you're more pessimistic than I am after seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, he's moved better than what I thought he would originally, especially getting up and down the floor, right? Like laterally, it's a work in progress. And he has shown, like you said, the motor where he's trying to. I don't know if there's another level to that laterally, right? Because that's going to be a big difference maker. If he can somewhat stay in front of guys, I mean, that's a big change in what the trajectory of kind of player he could be. But running up and down the court, he has looked better than what I thought he would be. He doesn't look clunky. He looks smooth. Defensively is going to be a challenge. He's already been challenged in basically every game that he's been in. He's had some nice blocks, but the perimeter stuff is just going to be a problem for him. It is. I mean, he's a rookie and he's 7'4". Like Jalen Wells has looked great. He's having trouble on defense at times, right? He's competitive. He's out there trying to steal the ball and pressuring guards, but he's getting lost in rotation too, and he's also getting blown by. That's expected. But the initial kind of stuff that we're seeing is all positive. I wouldn't say anything negative. They were all things that I certainly expected from Edey defensively coming in.
Right. And that's all I could ask to see. And I'm not saying I think he's going to be able to switch on to De'Aaron Fox and hold his own. Right?
No one can. Like, right. No one is.
Exactly. Yeah. That's not what we're expecting to see. But it's, can he get out on your not below average, but average NBA guard and hold his
not own. Fall apart. Yeah.
Exactly. And so far, it looks
you just have to tread water, and you either wait for the help. I mean, there's trade-offs, right? Like that's just kind of what basketball is. You either go big and you have that trade-off where you're probably giving up more threes against teams, but then you're killing people in the paint. You just have that kind of mathematical back and forth. There's trade-offs to both. So the Pacers, they go small, play 5 out and chunk a bunch of threes. As you can see, Pacers first half, they're not doubling Edey, rarely. Right. Like Rick Carlisle's more than fine with letting Edey get 20 points as long as he's getting the 11 or 12 threes that are wide open on the opposite end, right? So it's a math battle, but he hasn't done anything where it's like he hasn't done anything that's like a warning, like, uh-oh, here's things to come. They've only been positive, I think. And if he just plays that well in the offensive end, then you can justify the defense for right now.
All you can ask is for him to make them work for it and make things harder for them. And so far, it's looked like he's doing that. There might be nights where they're hitting all those threes and he gets played off the floor. Good news is the Grizzlies can go to a lineup with Vince and Smart and Jaren, or Smart and Jaren and Clark. Grizzlies are adaptable. I think that's the biggest thing Edey brings to the table. It makes him capable of playing in a lot of different ways. So being able to play in the paint. Now, those are the positives. I assume we're already out of halftime. I actually don't have the game pulled up, but we probably already are. So we're going to get through this. Before we get to the negatives, I do want to pull up one negative that I see just within the chat. Already here, Bally's. Biggest negative of Grizz existence. Personally, I'm in Utah. I have League Pass that allows me to watch all of these games. So I'm kind of sitting pretty with it. I feel bad. Yeah,
so
right.
great.
You can barely get away
so
with
great.
it where you're at.
Yeah.
Rich, Rusty, everybody struggling with it. I do not miss that part. I miss so much about Memphis. I don't miss Bally's. But moving on to actual negatives from the play so far. Ryan, what is the biggest negative that you've seen that you think actually might translate to the season?
I mean, it's only a negative in that it's a result of putting in a new offense is like the turnover count. That is just going to be a naturally higher level than what it typically is. I mean, typically turnovers are in the 12 to 14 range. And I think we're averaging like 17 to 20 so far in preseason. I expect that to carry over into the regular season. It takes a long time to get a read and react flow 5 out or 1 in 4 out offense. It's hard to get that down because that's mostly chemistry and reading your other teammates. I mean, to kind of put people at ease about it, yes, expect elevated higher turnovers, but the Golden State Warriors, they're one of the highest turnover teams in the NBA every single year, and it hasn't held them back, right? Like it is just a function of what their offense is with Steph and Clay moving around. Now, it might be different this year with whatever their new core, but expect higher turnover rates. I wouldn't say that it is an indication that the offense is not working. I guess I should say. So it's a negative, but I don't know if it's like a let's switch everything halfway through the season kind of negative.
Yeah. Tell you what's not negative. King Meeks and Wayno both in the chat. Good to see you guys. I know Wayno's probably at work. Glad you guys are able to join. Hopefully we'll get to actual post-game stuff pretty soon. Be able to join, not so much in the middle of a work shift. But it's a double-edged sword, right? Because it's going to be a system that induces more turnovers. Like you're saying, somewhat naturally it's going to be more turnover-based. At the same time, same thing we were talking about a minute ago, it's also going to result in a lot more easier looks, wide open shots. That's going to cover up for the turnovers and the lost possessions is you're maximizing the efficiency of the possessions that you do get and you're able to convert. So I think it's going to be a little bit of both on that side there. Actually, what you're talking about does translate to what I have seen as the main negative, which is not overall team-based. It is individual player-based. And that individual player is going to be Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
It is Scottie Pippen. And a couple of things from Summer League when he was awesome, right? And I still think there is a potential for Scottie Pippen backup point guard for the Grizzlies. I'm not out on that at all. But the defense is not translated so far in Summer League, from Summer League to preseason. He's just been fouling a lot more, which is the nature of, you and I were talking about this beforehand, the style he plays defense, which is aggressive. He takes gambles. One is going to result in a lot of fouls quite a bit of the time, but also two, you got Summer League players versus legitimate NBA players. That's just going to turn down the level of which that's successful when you're gambling. To be honest, that hasn't bothered me nearly as much. And again, to be fair, I did not watch last preseason game at all. I barely watched the first preseason game, but from the bits I've seen, he's turning the ball over a lot, in my opinion. And that's sort of, and it's not all system stuff. Some of it is, right? Some of it is, hey, like guys are cutting, you're getting adjusted to making the passes to those cuts. A lot of guys you probably don't play with a ton in general, even in practice runs. You may not be paired up with them. At the same time, I'm like, man, you've got to be able to take care of the basketball, right? We were calling him, I was calling him Tyus Jones Light there in Summer League. If you're going to be Tyus Jones Light, you got to be able to take care of the basketball. For you, I know you've seen the turnovers at large. When it comes to Scottie in particular, do you think that is a result of the system and how that is just playing out? Or do you think it's him just not making as many good decisions as what we saw in Summer League?
I think it could be both because you have to be decisive in this offense. You're either going to pass it or you're not. And defensively, it's smart of him to play aggressive like that and go for steals because he's not going to be a good team defender just because of his size, right? Which is just in turn going to lead to guys getting layups or him fouling or someone having to help and put in rotation. So he kind of has to go for steals if he wants to stay on the court. I mean, I'm like you. He's probably going to get some backup minutes depending on the situation. I wouldn't expect him to be more than 8 to 12 minute a game guy. So ultimately, I don't think he really matters that much to this team. He is a nice safety net if someone needs to take a night off because he's a good offensive player. So I think the offense is going to be fine no matter what. He's not going to be in there if you need a stop. And we probably have never going to need him to be in there to get a stop, right? But his 5 to 8 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes is just him trying to create havoc, get a steal, a lazy pass or something. So I think he'll be okay. We're not going to ask a lot from him anyways. I would expect more of kind of the big wings running the offense that we've kind of seen, especially when Vince and Gigi get back.
Right. And same thing you were saying, right? I don't think it's going to be a huge impact.
Yeah.
But it had the potential to be a huge impact if you think he's going to be the backup guard. And
if he's featured as the backup, I'm like, okay.
Right. Work to be done.
Yeah.
Work to be done. I don't want to ignore some things. There's a lot of stuff going really well. Yuki has looked really good. I don't think it translates to the team at large.
No.
I think Yuki's going to be
even smaller than Scotty.
Yeah, he's going to be a South Haven star. It's going to be awesome. I have liked what I've seen from him. Unfortunately, I think we might have comparable heights, and that is a problem. But
I have a player. If you want a negative, another one that's a player.
I do not want another negative. I'm ready to move forward. We already halfway into the third quarter. Let's move on to the last section, which is just looking at what we want to see, that we see the potential of, and we think could make an impact. So try and get through this really quick, but what's the main thing you're wanting to see?
I want to see everybody together. Like I want the full, the core 3 at least.
We long for it.
I yearn to see the core 3 together in this new look offense, to see, how it looks with Edey with Jaren in a 4-out setting, BC going to his natural kind of 5 position with Jaren. I think that's probably going to be the best looking, or the best way this offense is going to look. It's going to be lineups with BC and Jaren with 3 wings or 2 wings, Ja and Bane and wing, whatever. I think that's the best this offense is going to look for the style. But I want all 3 together. I want to see it. I don't want to have to wait 2 weeks into the season to finally see it.
Yeah, and we've already got to wait for Vince to come back, and he's going to be a legitimate major contributor. Gigi, I'm thinking closer to Christmas, December time is probably what we're looking at for him. Already waiting for the full product, and then we're not even through preseason yet. But have you seen the Minecraft thing where there's a bunch of kids playing Minecraft? It says the children yearn for the mines.
Oh yeah, I have seen that.
Always that specific word always gets me there. All right, and then really quick to close it out, there's 2 main things I want to see. One is player based again, and that's Edey's positioning offensively. Like I already talked about the good we've seen from him. I want to see him consistently get that deep post position and not settle for the high post position. And there's 2 plays in the first quarter tonight that really stood out to me. One was backing him way into the paint, got deep paint position to get to that hook he likes a lot. And the other one was he got it sort of in the high post, but then dribble, bang, bang, spin to the dunk. I want to see that kind of movement. He is good at that high post hook, and he can hit it from pretty high in the post. That is not going to be the best shot on this team with the players around him.
No.
Right? That's the biggest difference, I think, from college to this offensively for him, from college to the NBA, is you were the best player and the best option in almost every scenario. If you could get to that high post hook, that's a great shot for your team.
Right.
When you're playing with Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane, if you get to that deep position, 10 times out of 10, I want you taking that shot, right? That is a threat. You need to be able to go to that. If you've only got it up in that high post, if you can't get deeper positioning, give it to one of those guys and then see what else you can get. So that's the main thing I want to see from him personally. And I think we've already seen it play out a couple of times, which is encouraging. And then overall, the system, I want to see how all this movement looks with Ja Morant on the court.
Yeah.
Because the cuts are awesome. The multiple passes are awesome. Everybody's moving all the time. The ball's bouncing around. That's amazing. When Ja Morant's on the court, the ball really needs to be in his hands.
Yeah.
Like the vast majority of the time.
Let's not overthink this too much.
Yeah. It's like, and when you have Ja and Jaren on the court, really, I think that the ball popping around slows down. Jaren is not one to just run all around the court. Not because he won't. That's not what he's built to do. That's not his game, right? Yeah. I'm interested to see how that all plays out once you have those guys on the court, because I think that it will. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's why we're yearning to see it. I worry it will minimize some of the best strengths of your best players if they're on the court at the same time together. And so we'll see how that plays out. But any last things you got? We're already halfway through the third quarter. We already are at the time I said we should go to. So anything else on this game or in general?
No, I mean, Edey just has to get more comfortable at making decisive moves towards the basket, like you said. I don't like those fadeaway hooks, which he did a couple times, right? It's just the worst shot in basketball. That's why Rick Call is just sitting there letting him do it. But when you put people through the hoop, that's when it starts to add up. So, I mean, we've got 82 more games to talk in depth. So I won't, shoot all my shots here tonight, especially going back to watch an entertaining game for the Grizzlies. But that would be hopefully for the rest of the game. He continues to do that, right? Go to the basket.
Right. And Brevin said it best. Brevin was talking about Edey during the broadcast tonight, talking about how he is a student of the game. And he saw him working with things with Marcus Smart before the game and then put him in action during the game.
Yeah.
One thing I'm not worried about with Edey is being a teachable, coachable player and doing what he can to help the team win. It's going to be an adjustment going from being the guy, not just with college, with your team, in the entire college game, right?
Yeah.
To playing with guys like Ja Morant, but he's doing well. I really liked everything I've seen from Edey so far. Sky is the limit for him so far. Daniel already in here saying he has 19 and 9. Oh, we don't put words like that on the screen, Daniel. Come on, it's a family show. But it's awesome. We're going to get out of here. Listen, we want everybody to get back to the game. As far as some next things going on, we are going to be done for the preseason. Next show is going to be post-game live right after the show, back to our usual with the Grizzlies playing the Jazz in Utah. That is going to be with Daniel and Anthony Sane. Yours truly is going to be at the game live in person. So I will be there while you peasants are here watching it on Bally's /League Pass. No, I'm going to be at the game, so I will not make that post-game show most likely. I'll try and give a live update depending on how it goes after the game. But it's going to be the 23rd, I believe, right after the game. You can be here with Ryan, Anthony Sane, and make sure get here into the chat. Look what's happening here in the chat. Listen, King Meeks is sending Wayno a Grizz jersey for Christmas. Wayno is saying, just get me a beer. Missing Ryan. This is a family. I don't know if you remember the KD, will you be a part of my family commercials back in the day, but this is a family here. Listen, the chat is what makes this show go. Seriously, can't appreciate you guys enough. If you aren't in here, come with us on YouTube, like, subscribe, join the chat. It is where all the fun is. Believe me, you literally will make friendships with guys buying you jerseys and beers. It has happened. But for that, get back to the game. We will see you again on the 23rd. Other than that, go Grizz. Have yourself a fantastic evening. Ryan, thank you so much. Get back to it.
Always, Nate.
All right. See you people later. Enjoy the rest of the game.